My mother-in-law hates, but it's been 7 years. It's getting out of hand where I can't do this another 7 years. My husband and I got married 7 years ago. My husband is in the military, so when we first got together she kept telling me I couldn't get pregnant and we wasn't doing none of that. She didn't like that this grown-ass man was making his own decisions by staying with my family and I at the time instead of living on a boat. Fast forward a few days after her telling me I couldn't get pregnant, I found I was already a month along and I was keeping my baby. He has called his mother to let her know the news and she was beyond livid. I feel like my mother-in-law didn't like me from the moment she looked eyes on me through that screen. She looked at me like this loudmouth ghetto girl, which I am far from. She just judged me right off the back without getting to know me. She thinks she knows me, she knows nothing about me. Besides, I am going to stick up for myself and not back down to anybody that is disrespectful. Fast forward, I have now 2 kids by her son. She has always made it a little clear she didn't like me without words. When we would go and visit GA, she would intentionally not take photos with me. No, seriously, we would be on family outings and she was never take pictures with me or of me. You would never see me in any of her photos when she or we went to visit. When I come around, I feel like the fourth wheel. My husband and 2 kids fit right in, of course, and then it's me just sitting there uncomfortably, feeling unwanted. She also reference me as my son wife, but never my daughter-in-law. She never texts me, we never have like personal conversations or connection. I have brought numerous of things up to my husband about how his mother treats me and he really simply doesn't see it or doesn't want to see it. He acts dumbfounded when it comes to his mom, like seriously a mama's boy, and sometimes it's just like a. Here is the reason for the post. A few weeks ago I went and done something I couldn't imagine myself doing years ago, lol. I went and bought me a stripper pole. Only for home working out, letting loose and showing out for my hubby use only. Never wanna be a stripper or anything like that, just wanted to try and learn something new in my life. Well, my husband goes and tells his mom a few nights ago in a very exciting way for me that I had one. Instead of saying that's good for you, and how are you doing by it, etc. She could have said anything. She goes and says, are you going to make money off it? Whoa, WTF are you talking about, lady? She said it twice. My husband said as he just missed her disrespect, ha, oh no, she's not going to do any of that just at home, but like I felt like he should have said more or at least defended me. I said something once they got off the phone like, your mother thinks I'm going to be a stripper now, 26, 2 kids and 7 years later. He had sent her a text instead of a call and he never told me about the text until I asked about it the next day. Like what she say, BC, she still didn't care enough to send an apology. Basically in the text she said it was a joke and she said it twice, get a reaction out of me. Like, lady, what are you talking about? It's hard to be in a marriage where the mother does even like you. Not having a relationship with his mother has been weighing on me. My husband and I marriage isn't perfect, but my marriage is very lukewarm and vanilla. He isn't an alpha male more or the quit laid back. I am tired of sticking up for myself when I have a husband to defend me but doesn't when he needs to. There has been other situations, just rather not text all that out. I am just so frustrated, and to add, his mother and sister is coming to visit for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I honestly have been working on a healthy, mental health journey and I told him I don't want anything to do with them. And if they decide to come for those holidays, I will find somewhere else to go when they are here. Also, I want to unfriend his mother on all social media. I am just about over it. We don't talk anyways to have each other on the socials. May I had BC, this is bothering me. We once were all getting tattoos and she looked at my husband and said her price tag just went up. Then again it was a WTF comment, like WTF does that even mean laayayayati? Edit, I feel like I should add that I got the pole for myself, nobody else. I'll be sexy for him or whatever, but I didn't get the pole for him at all. It's for me. I am a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. Comment. You have a husband problem, not just a mill problem. He needs to pull his head out of his arse. No more pictures of your kids and family photos without you. How disgusting is he that he doesn't see how fucked that alone is? And what the hell, what kind of sick weirdo tells his mother that his wife got a stripper pole? And then just ignores that kind of comment. He should take those comments a lot more personally, because when she makes those implications about you, she's also implying her son is weak and stupid. Advice would be cut contact and block her. If he wants to spend time with mom, he goes alone. Kids don't go where mom isn't welcome. His mother needs loads less information about anything related to you. He had no business telling his mom about your sex toys. As for you, don't give her so much space in your brain. Try to dismiss her in your thoughts and life. Laugh at her attempts. Because now, you can say to her, if you ever see her again and if she ever goads you again, I'm the one with the stripper pole. And I make very good use of it. Why would you go elsewhere when they visit? If they come to visit, Sil and Mil can stay in a hotel or Airbnb. Don't leave your home, make sure they don't stay instead. Put your foot down. You can't stop them visiting your town, but you sure as hell can stop them staying in your house. Thanksgiving and Christmas is a lot compromise on one but not both. Hubby needs to step up. Stop telling his mommy every other detail and defend his wife. And honestly, I'd be glad that Mil doesn't text or want a personal connection with you. Makes it easier to stop interacting with the bitch at all. Next story 2. My mother is putting our unborn baby at risk. Bit of background. My mother has always been very emotionally volatile and abusive throughout my childhood. She would yell at me and give me silent treatment probably as often as once every 10 days for several days at a time, be mad for no reason, etc. For a long time I thought I was an awful child that deserved the constant scolding and punishment because I did talk back in defense, which she often said was the reason for scolding me, every so often when I felt strongly that it wasn't my fault. She also managed to train me not to talk about it to other relatives because my bad behavior would shame my immediate family. She has a track record of yelling at me and saying a lot of cruel things and never apologizing for any instance of the many quarrels she had with me growing up. As I've grown up, I realized that it was unlikely that I could always be wrong for every single time she was mad at me for 30 years. I think she's actually not very good at handling her own emotions or stress, and I was the eldest child and spent the most time with her, so it was easy for her to yell at me instead. I've moved to a different country now and married and am pregnant. The relationship is easier now because I have space from her and I'm not so accessible to her to just call up and shout at, but she has still managed to do it with video calls every few months. Recently my partner and I went home to attend my siblings' wedding. They had their own idea about how to do their wedding, so didn't need much input and didn't communicate a lot of their plans with the wider family. That stressed my mom out a lot, so one morning she demanded that I drive her to the shop to get something, and while in the car just got properly hysterical, screaming at me for not helping with the wedding and all the things she wanted us to do. Not true, we had been very helpful. I tried to set a boundary by listing the stuff we had done to help, but she carried on yelling, so I said she was being rude and disrespectful by negating all the help we had given them all, even though they were a bit disorganized and not very communicative. She then screamed that we had imprisoned her and my dad at our wedding a year ago. He has unfortunately passed away a few months ago, and the reason we had advised them to stay at our home the week before the wedding was because he had a lung condition and we were worried he might catch COVID with so many people around. We certainly hadn't imprisoned them and actually had planned a nice stay for them, cooking and driving them places so they wouldn't have to get exposed to lots of crowds, etc., so this was really hurtful. At this point the car was going around 25 km/h in a busy high street, and she screamed at the top of her lungs. Pedestrians on the road could clearly hear her, and opened the front passenger door to try to get out of the moving car. I was driving and quite pregnant. I managed to stop shortly after and she got out of the car and took a taxi home. My partner was absolutely appalled when he heard about this when I got home. We both work in healthcare and know that airbags deploying in car accidents in heavily pregnant women can be very dangerous and lead to miscarriage or serious harm to the mother also. She waited over 2 days before she sent a text apologizing for what she had said. I was too angry and traumatized to respond, and we had to keep a calm persona for the wedding etc. A few days after, we were able to have a talk, where she claimed she had been provoked by me to get angry and open the door and didn't think it might be dangerous for the baby and I. She said her actions were justified because I had been rude to her. She wouldn't take responsibility for being in the wrong about any part of the whole thing, and when my partner and I suggested that any more similar behavior would mean that we might not let her have free access to the baby, it made her angry again, and she said we had no right to stop her from interacting with our child. It wasn't a productive conversation because she refused to apologize or properly admit that any wrongdoing had happened on her part, and would not commit to things like stress management apps or anything else we suggested that might help with her inability to manage herself like an adult. It has been a week since we have returned to our country of residence, and both my partner and I are worrying about what to do next. The baby only has one grandparent left on my side, but I don't trust her not to lose her self-control whenever she has a stressful time and yell at the baby or worse. I would not want to be alone with her in a car, and I was so hurt by her throwing all the kind things we had done for her and my dad back in our faces that I am not keen to help facilitate her coming to stay with us for the birth. We feel very trapped and can't really talk to other family members about it, and feel like we can't stop her interacting with our child. While this is the first time she had potentially put us in physical harm's way, it is far from her first temper tantrum, and she can just explode over anything and blame others for it. I feel extra bad to be related to her, and guilty that my partner now feels like he has to protect both me and baby from a very dysfunctional person. We would love some input about whether we are overreacting to what happened, and some suggestions about how to handle the situation moving forwards, not just for us but for the baby. I don't want the baby to experience the same horrible bullying that I did growing up. Thank you so much. Comment. You certainly can stop her from interacting with your child. Tell her you don't want her coming for the birth, and she's on probation till she gets help for her outbursts. No visits with baby until there are apologies and improved behavior. If she abuses you and acts like that towards you, she will do the same to your child. Do what is best for you and your child, and keep that volatile, dangerous person away. She's show me who she is. Believe her. Soon she'll be having these hissy fits when you set boundaries, not letting her do. Is she pleases with your child? Not being in the delivery room. Not being the first one to hold the baby. Not being able to feed the baby. Not being allowed to come and go from your house as she pleases or do anything she wants with your child. End it now. Make your decision based on what is healthiest for your child. My mom allowed her mother to visit every single weekend. She was a horrible person to be around. My siblings and I would beg my mom not to let grandma come over. Our pleas fell on deaf ears. My siblings and I resented my mom into adulthood for allowing it. My advice is to go and see before Lo arrives.